Here's the classwork that you missed, applying the order of operations. I'm going to walk you through a total of 9 different examples, but we're first going to start off with what is the order of operations. So in math, there are 4 operations you're going to be working with. So an operation is either addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So for order of operations, the order is the most important thing. So order of operations is simply saying the order in which we're going to be doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in expressions just like these. And there are 4 steps to the order of operations. Step 1 is to simplify parentheses. Parentheses look something like this, or it could be brackets as well. Exponents would be next. And exponent would be something like, let's say, 3 to the 4th power. So this is the base, the 3, and 4 is the exponent. And if you ever come across an expression like this, 3 to the 4th power, the exponent just tells you how many 3's you have. In this case, we have 4 3's, and they're all being multiplied together. So this is just a shortcut for repeated multiplication. Step 3 would be 2 things you're looking for at the same time. You're looking for multiplication and division. And you're going to simplify it in order from left to right. And here's 2 examples of what I mean. When they say left to right, it just means as you scan the problem, you notice we're looking for both of them at the same time. So in this case, I have multiplication and division, and I also have multiplication and division. But if you look at it, in this case, when you read it from left to right, which is the way we read a sentence, division appears first before multiplication. So when they say scan from left to right, you're going to simplify in this order. Scan it from left to right, and whatever pops up first out of those 2 operations, you're going to do that one first. So always work your way from left to right. So in this case, I will divide these first, and after I divide, then I multiply. And you can see in this case, it's reverse order. Multiplication appears first, and then division is next. So as I scan for both of these operations at the same time, you can see here, multiplication pops up first, so I would do this in this case, and then I would divide afterwards. So again, when they say multiply and divide from left to right, look for both at the same time, and whatever appears first, do that one first. And similarly, step 4, which is addition and subtraction, you're also going to go from left to right order, meaning as you scan for both of these, you can see here, I would do addition first because as I scan from left to right, that appears first. And in this second expression, as I scan from left to right, since subtraction appears first, I will simplify this part first before I would add. So that's what they mean by scanning for both of these together and doing it from left to right order. So whatever pops up first out of those 2, do that part first. Let's get into some of the problems for today. So we have a total of 9, and here's the first problem. And one of my recommendations, since this has to do with organization and following order, I would recommend for you to for each problem start writing down the order of operations. So, and you could use the abbreviation. You can see where we got the idea from PEMDAS. You might have heard of PEMDAS before. So parentheses first, I'm going to check for exponents. Then I'll check for multiplying and dividing together. Simplify it from left to right. Then step 4, I'm going to do addition and subtraction together from left to right order. So again, order of operations, which is what we're working on, order of operations, is the order in which we're going to do these things. You have to go in this order. A common mistake I see is, which I've seen today, is we keep doing step 4 before step 3. All right, so let's just jump right into the examples. So I'm going to model for you how I use this to help me answer each problem. So remember, it doesn't matter which problem you get. You always have to follow this order. That's the most important thing. Again, that's why they call it the order of operations. So as I scan this problem, I just ask myself, what kind of operations do I have? Which in this case, I have multiplying, subtraction, multiplying, and addition. Remember, step 1 is parentheses. There are no parentheses here, so that means I can skip that step and go on to the next one. But remember, just use it like a checklist. This one's all set. There's nothing there left to do with parentheses. Step 2 is exponents. I do not have any exponents here, so I know I'm done with step 2. Now I go to step 3, multiplying and dividing from left to right. So I have multiplication in 2 spots. I have it here, and I also have it here. Left to right means we're going to multiply the first one that pops up. So this is my first problem. Here's my second one. So do the first one, which in this case will be 121 when I multiply that. And to keep your work organized, which is also important, bring down whatever else you have left. So minus 6 times 17 plus 4. So notice I only simplified one thing, which is the 11 times 11. So I'm going to put here what I just did. So I did that, and then I bring down the rest. And now we have, what do I have left? Subtraction, multiplication, addition. Step 3 says to do multiplying and dividing. Since I still have multiplication left, I'm going to do this next. So remember, just because we applied step 3 here does not mean we're going to move on to step 4. You have to complete all the multiplication and division before you move on to addition and subtraction. So again, I saw that mistake a lot today as well. So once you see you did your first multiplication problem, I'm not going to go to step 4 because I still have to multiply these 2 numbers too. So now I'm going to multiply these together. So that means I'm just going to bring down the 121 minus. And when I multiply these two numbers together, I get 102. And I bring down my plus 4. And now I have subtraction and addition left. So now I can see my step 3 is complete. Now I'm just going to add and subtract from left to right. So we have subtraction and addition. And again, from left to right, this appears first. I'm going to work on these two first because that came up first before that addition sign. So again, we're looking for both together. I'm not going to add first because this one came up first. So I'm going to do these two. So these combined, you give me 19. Bring down my remainder. And obviously the only thing left to do is add these together, which gives me a total of 23. All right, here's my little notes I put on the side, my checklist. So I'm going to follow these order, 1, 2, 3, 4. In simplify order of operations, this is step 1, no parentheses, so I can erase this. Step 2 is exponents, which I do not have, erase that. Multiplying and dividing is next, so that's step 3. So I look for those two things. I have one here and one here, division and multiplication. Since we're going from left to right order, that means I got to do this first before that one. So that means I'm going to bring down my 14, bring down the plus sign. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And then bring down my times, bring down my 18, and bring down the minus 7. So notice the only difference between here and here is that I divided these two together to get 9. And now remember, we are not done with step 3 because I still have a multiplication here that I have to get rid of. So that means I'm not going to go to addition or subtraction until I complete step 3. So again, that's a common mistake I saw, is that because you multiply or divided in this case first, that means you're going to move to step 4, which is not correct. Do all your multiplying and dividing, so it could happen more than once, which in this case, it happened here, and now we're going to multiply here. So we get 14 plus 9 times 18, that's 162, minus 7. And now we're down to the last steps where we are on step 4 because there's no more multiplying or dividing left. So it's just addition, subtraction. We always do that from left to right. So that means I'm going to do these two first, which is going to give me 176. Take away 7, and that's the only thing left to do, which gives me 169. All right, here's example number 3. So remember, I would recommend putting that checklist. You don't have to, but have it somewhere available so you know you are following the order of operations. So I wrote it down here, my little checklist. So parentheses, no parentheses. Step 2, exponents, there are no exponents. Step 3, multiply and divide left to right. So I scan for multiplying and dividing, which appears here. I have division here, so I'm going to divide that, and I'm going to get 2. Then I'm going to copy the rest of the problem, 18 minus 9 times 2. Again, step 3, multiplying and dividing. So I keep scanning for multiplying or dividing, which I have right here, which means that's next. So I'm going to bring down the rest to keep organized. 2 plus 18 minus, and then 9 times 2 gives me a total of 18. So now I'm done with step 3 because there's only addition and subtraction left. And we always do that from left to right. So that means I'm going to do these two first, which gives me 20 minus 18. And then obviously the only thing left to do is subtract these, and you get a total of 2. All right, so here we have steps 1 through 4 written out. That's my little checklist. So here, first thing I'm looking for, no parentheses. That one's all done. Exponents. No exponents. That's all done. Multiplying and divide left to right. So the first time I see either one, which is here, I'm doing that first. So 9 plus 15 divided by 5 is 3. Bring down the rest times 13. And now we're still on step 3, so look for multiplying or dividing, which does pop up right here. Multiply these together, and we're going to get 9 plus 39 when I multiply these. And clearly the last thing to do is just add these, which is a total of 48. All right, here's my next example. Notice that I put my little checklist down here. First thing I scan for is parentheses, which no parentheses, so that's done. All right, next I look for exponents, which there are no exponents, so erase that, that's gone. Multiply and divide left to right, so I'm just scanning for that. It pops up here quickly, so 32, and then copy the rest. Plus 9 minus 9 plus 18. Multiplying, dividing. So as I scan the problem, you see there is no multiplying or dividing left. So that means I'm done with step 3, which now leads to step 4, adding and subtracting from left to right. So just keep going from this order, keep simplifying until you work your way to the right. So that's going to give me 41. Bring down the minus 9 plus 18. Again, left to right order, subtract this. And that's going to give me a total of 32. Bring down the plus 18. And obviously the last thing to do is to add these together, which gives me a total of 50. All right, here's my next problem. Again, I wrote down the steps for the order of operations. Step 1, look for parentheses, which we actually do have in this problem. So that means, think of parentheses as like your focus area. You're going to focus on whatever's happening in here first. So we're going to reapply these order of operations within the parentheses. So for example, here we have multiplication, addition, and exponents. So after this step, we're going to be looking for step 2, which is exponents. So in the parentheses, I do have exponents, which means I'm going to simplify this part first. So you can see how I did that. I did 2 squared, and remember 2 squared, this tells you how many factors of 2 are multiplied together. So in this case, it's 2 times 2, which gives me 4. So I simplified the exponents inside the parentheses, and notice nothing else changes. Everything else stays the same. And now we're still on step 1, which is parentheses. So inside here, what's left? I have multiplication and addition. So I know I multiply first before addition. So I'm going to multiply in my next step. So I'll copy 2 times. This right here will become 45 when you multiply it. Bring down the rest of the terms, plus 4, plus 4. And notice we're still in the parentheses. We have 2 things here. 1 operation left. Add these together. So that's all I have to do next. So when I add these together, I get a total of 49 and bring down my plus 4. So again, I just simplified the parentheses here. And now look at what's left. Multiplication and addition. So once you're down to a single number, and there's no exponent here, once you're down to a single number, you're pretty much done with step 1. And we go to step 2, which is exponents. No exponents occur outside of the parentheses, because I'm looking at everything now, right? When I did step 1, we were looking only in here. But now, I checked the whole thing, and there's nothing left out here for exponents. So that's done. Step 3, multiply and divide from left to right. We do have multiplication here, so I'm going to multiply these together first, which gives me 98. Bring down my plus 4. And 98 plus 4, that's all that's left to do. It gives me 102. And just to point out, I don't know if you noticed, but if you organize your work in a downward flow, it makes keeping track very easy. And you'll see that it gets smaller and smaller as your steps progress. So it's almost like an upside down Christmas tree, which is kind of like the opposite of when we did our prime factor trees. But again, it'll get smaller and smaller until you get down to a single number. All right, we're in the home stretch. Now we have 3 more examples to go. So I made my little checklist here. I made it downward this time. So step 1, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide left to right. And the last step, add, subtract left to right. So step 1, parentheses, which I do have in this case, means we're going to focus in here. So almost like you're going to ignore this and just focus in this problem right here. Which you can see, we only have adding and subtracting. And we always do that from left to right order. So basically, we just got to do add, subtract, left to right order. So I'm going to add these together, and I'm going to get 42 minus 6. That's inside the parentheses. And I copy the rest, divide by 6, plus 3 squared. So now we're still in the parentheses, so all I have left to do is subtract, which gives me a total of 36. And then bring down my divided by 6 plus 3 squared. So notice I'm down to a single number. There's no exponent outside of this parentheses, which means I'm done with step 1. And now I'm going to move on to exponents. So when I scan the problem, I do have exponent right here. So that means I'm going to bring this down. Notice there's nothing to do, so I could drop the parentheses at this point. I don't need it anymore. And then we get divided by 6 plus, and then we have 3 squared. Remember, 3 squared, the exponent tells you have 2 3's, and they're both being multiplied together. This is a shortcut for repeated multiplication. So 2 3's multiplied together. That's what the exponent tells you. 2 of these. So 2 of them multiplied together. So 3 squared, I can see, is 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. And now, we're done with our second step, exponents. Now I'm looking for multiplying and dividing. I only have division here. When I divide this, I get 6. Bring down my plus 9. And clearly, all I have left to do is add these together, which is a total of 15. All right, so here we have our next problem. So I'm going to follow the order of operations again. So I put it right down here. So notice step 1, there are no parentheses. So we're done with that step. Step 2, no exponents. So we're done with that step. Step 3, multiply, divide left to right. So as I scan the problem, division pops up first here. So we divide this. Now bring down the rest. Times 12 plus 10. And now we're still on step 3 because we have to keep scanning for both of these. So now I can see I do have multiplication. So when I multiply this, I get 48. Bring down my plus 10. And clearly the only thing left to do is add. And that gives me a total of 58. And that gives us our very last problem. So here's my little checklist here. So I'm going to do step 1, parentheses, which we do not have. That's done. Step 2 is exponents. We do not have any exponents. That's done. Multiply and divide from left to right. We do have it pop up right here, multiplication. And I went to my calculator, and that gives me a total of 270. And then bring down the rest. Plus 12 divided by 3 plus 9. So remember, just because I multiply does not mean I'm done with step 3. Keep looking for both of these things in the problem. So as I scan the problem, I have it pop up right here, division. So now I do that next. So that's going to give me 270 plus, this is 4, plus 9. So there's no more multiplication or division, so we're done with step 3. Now I do addition or subtraction, which we do have here. Left to right order. We add this up, we get 274. Bring down my plus 9. And when we add this up, we get 283 as our final answer.